So check this out, Ralph. I'm super excited about something, and I know you know about it, but you may not know how excited I am about it now.
Can I ask you a question before you disclose it? Does it have a super rockin' cool theme song like mine did?
Dang it. No.
See, I was trying to. Okay, well, I'm sure it's still really cool though.
It's the MiSTerCade. All right.
Oh, cool. That's a good. That's a good one.
The reason why I want to talk about the MiSTerCade is about to blow up. That's what I think. So we got Scarlet Sprites who talked about the MiSTerCade. Tomorrow, Bob's releasing his video that explains how he took a MiSTerCade and it's JAMA compatible, so it's hot swappable into an arcade. So remember, Ralph, how I said I had a Neo Geo and I haven't received it yet. I'm still debating what to do with it. So I have an MVS single board, right, with the 161. What is it? 161 and 1? Yeah, the game card. So that's an option. But I also have a MiSTer. And so with the MiSTerCade, what is the MiSTerCade? It is an add-on board to the DE10 Nano. So first, you may want to understand what a MiSTer is. So a MiSTer is an FPGA-based emulation device. For the simple version, they are preserving arcade history by documenting the schematics of tons of arcades. And the MiSTer, the FPGA, can recreate the exact schematics. If written and documented well, it can recreate that in the FPGA. And the add-on board makes the MiSTer have JAMA out. So really the Neo Geo that I have, that I bought but I haven't received yet, it's going to be JAMA ready, right? It's got a nice CRT on it. It's got controls all ready to go with the JAMA harness. Plug that sucker into the MiSTerCade, which is the add-on board, put my MiSTer on top of it, and it's going to be able to emulate tons of arcade systems, right? Down to the, the logic level, and in the last couple of years, people have continued to contribute to this open source project, this idea of, documenting history by these engineers going through and reverse engineering these circuits so that we can play some of these games. So let me ask you, Ralph, if you had a MiSTerCade, what could you do with a MiSTerCade?
Well, I could play all of right now, I mean, so it's kind of weird, right? Because I have that one board that's based on the Capcom CPS2 board. So you guys, like X-Men versus Street Fighter, for those who don't know, it wasn't a CPS1 game, it was a CPS2 game. And there's this company that created basically this board you put on top of it, and then you load all your ROMs on an SD card, but it actually runs it on real hardware, so it's not emulation at all. It's not emulation at all.
Right.
So I was really excited about that, and I just finally started using it, but this kind of makes that sort of obsolete. Like there's no reason to even use that really anymore. So if I had one, I could make one arcade cabinet that kind of just had all the arcade games I wanted on it, but it doesn't do everything yet, but it's pretty close. They keep adding more and more and more to it. So it's a really cool device if you're into original arcades, because it kind of now just, well, it's even cool if you don't, because the MiSTer's cool by itself. You can, just play regular console games on it too. So it's a pretty cool device.
Yeah, so the MiSTer's been out for a while. What's nice about it is this team of people picked hardware that's easily accessible. And the people that are behind it are not selling the MiSTer hardware necessarily, right? They don't have much to benefit from selling the DE10 Nano. That's a development board. But to join this project, all of your code has to be open source. And so in my head, I'm like, hey, let's say that you bought an arcade board. I'm sorry, like an arcade system, but the arcade board is broken. It's damaged. One option is swap it out with a MiSTerCade and then use the exact core that exact system was designed with. And you've basically restored your arcade, and when someone comes up to it, as long as the core was designed very well, you might not even notice the difference at all. There's going to be no lag, right?
I mean, most people don't. Most people don't notice the difference. I mean, there was I don't want to get too geeky on the topic, but the guy that's responsible for all the, think about anything Street Fighter would be CPS1. He found a bug that the games were not running the right speed. And I guess it's something that's been in MAME for a really long time, and he figured it out and he corrected it on MiSTer. And now it's almost identical. Like you can't even tell the difference. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it definitely is it's gonna potentially, I think they do need to make it, it'd be cool if they had a commercial version of it. So you wouldn't have to do all the tinkering.
It's cool.
Some people don't want to do that.
That can happen because all the cores are open source in such a way where someone else can come out and build hardware and say, we're going to use, I think it's like the Cyclone 5 or whatever, the same FPGA, and build a console essentially. And then they don't sell the cores, but you could load the cores.
Yeah.
And to my
King
understanding,
Kong has a good question, dude, because I haven't added up the cost of. So just so you guys know, the base board is called the DE10 Nano, and the MiSTerCade's like another board that goes on top of it. So how much is the total? Like, I don't know how much it would cost total.
Yeah, you want to go to MiSTeraddons.com, and that website, he's the guy behind a lot of the add-on parts for the MiSTer, thus the name MiSTer Add-on. And what is it? The DE10 Nano is about $150. I don't know.
I don't know what it is anymore. When I bought it, I want to say it was like 150-ish, I think.
So, yeah, for the DE10 Nano, I think it's about 150. But then right now, it's like you got to kind of have to learn like which configuration you want. Like, do you want it to be able to do this? So you might buy the extra SD RAM that increases the amount of SD RAM that is on it, so it can play like things like Neo Geo. Right. And then, so you can buy different parts to it. But I think even the DE10 Nano by itself, $150, can go really far. Just that unit alone.
Yeah, you can play, I can't remember. I think it's like you can play TurboGrafx, I think, with the base. You can play Genesis with the base.
Nintendo,
Nintendo. So I think, I don't know.
Almost everything since 1950 can be played, to be clear.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely a cool device. I just wish for the masses, it would be someone would decide to do a consumer version of it, because it does take, like, the thing is, it's kind of like anybody that gets into virtual pinball. Virtual pinball is a never ending hobby because you're always doing updates. Like if any of you guys go out and you buy a pinball machine, like one of these ones, whoever it is, pick your manufacturer, the 3/4 scale one, and then you actually mod it, you will forever be upgrading it. Like, it never stops.
Right.
So it's just one of those things that hobby tends to not, and MiSTer's the same thing. There's always updates, but they've made the updating part easier. You can connect it to Wi-Fi and it kind of does the updates for you. So at least that part isn't as bad. Dude, someone asked a question that's super relevant right now. Dude, what is up with the freaking Polymega? You and I were super hyped on that earlier this year. Now I don't even know if it's actually ever going to come out now.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard a little bit. I've been following it a little bit. I don't know what the latest news is. It's something like they lost their license, but then I heard someone else say, well, that happens. They just it's just paperwork or something. So maybe they'll fix that. And then Walmart.
I mean, dude,
they're not selling them at Walmart anymore. Is that right? We should be.
Weren't we supposed to be getting them like around this time? And it doesn't even seem like we're going to.
You remember we talked about. Remember, we're doing the new thing. We're going to talk about whatever's actually on our mind, right? Just absolutely no filter, right? We said that, right?
Yeah.
We talked about we're going to keep doing all these investments into different companies, Arcade 1-Up, at games. Like, every single time you spend hundreds of dollars on one of these units, especially brand new ones, you're taking a risk because you're an early adopter, right? You may buy the unit and it's horrible. And what are you going to do?
Look at me. I went and bought the Gamer Pro for $300, and now the Gamer Pro's $100. It's actually a great deal at $100.
Right.
That's at $100,
your review at $100 would be completely different, huh?
Well, it's funny. People are commenting on me. They're like, $100, coin ops, peace out. Like, they're jumping into my video and they're saying things like, it's $100, coin ops, like, this is stupid or whatever. They're like making fun of me, but I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. So check this out. Think about it. We were then afraid of MiSTerCade. Maybe that was going to be the one that screws us. Like we're going to invest. We're going to spend $500 or $600
very,
on
very
a new product.
worried, dude.
Yeah.
I was freaked out that we were going to tell people to buy it and it wasn't going to come out. Like, I legitimately thought like we were going to be in big trouble because something was going to happen bad.
Hank pointed out, it's now at Wally World, right? Walmart selling MiSTerCade now.
Yeah. So now, I mean, when you're in Walmart, that's a good thing. That's a good sign, right?
That's right.
That you're doing something right. So,
but is it gonna be the Polymega? Because I spent top dollar.
It might be the Polymega, dude.
Oh man!
I mean, the freaking Atari VCS came out, so the fact that thing came out, dude, the Polymega better come out.